Introduced in the 70s, the Ratel was the first wheeled IFV in the world to enter service and provided South Africa with a rugged design able to carry soldiers over vast distances and support them in areas traditional supply lines would be severely strained to reach. It is named after the honey badger, renowned for its strength and ferocity when cornered, reportedly even fighting off lions and hyenas. Welcome to Tank Encyclopedia. I'm Alcazar. If you like what we do and want to see more of it, don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss a single upload. But first, a word from a sponsor dear to our hearts, Wondrium. Wondrium is a premier entertaining and educational video subscription service that delivers approachable, comprehensive, and illuminating content. They have searched far and wide to bring trusted, respected, and inspiring experts and nonfiction storytellers who have led over 6,000 hours of video courses, documentaries, and series. We were really interested in watching the Assessing America's National Security Threats series of lectures by retired Lieutenant General McMaster, where we learned for the first time about the concept of strategic narcissism, plus a whole other host of military history documentaries. And there's more there if you're into other topics, including science and philosophy, in their growing library of content. Check it out. There's a big chance you'll love their content as much as us. There's a link to a free trial in our description, or you can go to wondrium.com/tankencyclopedia to get started. And now, back to the Ratel. The need for a new IFV for South Africa's Defense Force, or SADF, was first identified in the mid-1960s. South Africa's APC fleet, composed of foreign models such as the British Alvis Saracen, was not capable of standing up to the latest battlefield threats, nor were these designed with the vast and rugged South African terrain in mind. The SADF required the new infantry fighting vehicle to be highly maneuverable, reliable, and easy to maintain. This was to be in keeping with their mobile warfare doctrine of the time, which called for fast surprise attacks on the flanks of enemy forces. Design work began in 1968. The mobility and firepower of the vehicle were to be emphasized, with armor being less important. The first 4 production vehicles were trialed in 1975 at the Alansfontein Vehicle Testing Grounds. The trials were successful, and the first production run of 13 Ratels began that same year. The vehicles were produced by Sandock Austral in Boksburg. Following operational field tests, several modifications were made to improve the vehicle's bush-braking capability, including adding covers to the external headlights, which had originally only been protected with wire mesh, and a screen cover to prevent leaves from being sucked into the engine. Full production and operational deployment began the following year in 1976. Ratels with these improvements became known as Mark IIs, while the original version became Mark Is. A Mark III version would be introduced in 1985 with more than 135 modifications, including an improved cooling system, additional fuel filters, and a digital acceleration meter. The Ratel's primary focus is on mobility and reliability. Its 6x6 wheeled configuration with run-flat tires offered more reliability and less maintenance compared to the tracked IFVs of NATO and the Warsaw Pact. A Bussing D3256 BTXF 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine provides 282 horsepower, allowing the Ratel to reach speeds of up to 105 km per hour on road or 60 off-road. The power pack of the vehicle can be field stripped and replaced in just 30 minutes by only 2 men and a crane. The Ratel can also ford through 1.2 meters of water. Self-sufficiency is also emphasized. Each Ratel carries 2 drinking water tanks, a cooking stove, toolkit, tow bar, and cable. Spare parts such as radio aerials and tires are also carried wherever space can be found. Due to the long range of the Ratel, up to 600 kilometers off-road, the vehicle can operate in areas far and away from the logistics chain, and so Ratel crews must make do with whatever they can stow on board. 1 in 4 Ratels also carries a field shower kit. The Ratel is operated by a crew of 3. At the front of the vehicle sits the driver, who has a trio of large bulletproof windows allowing 270-degree visibility from the front. When in combat, the windows can be protected by armor shields to prevent damage. The driver has a trio of day periscopes he may use to navigate when the windows are covered. The gunner and commander are located in the turret. The gunner sits on the right, the commander the left. The commander has a cupola, allowing for 360-degree visibility around the vehicle while remaining under armor. Alongside the crew of the vehicle, the Ratel, in its IFV configuration, can also carry 8 infantrymen. Although by no means comfortable, this can be stretched to 11 passengers if required. These passengers may disembark the vehicle using doors located on both the sides and rear of the vehicle, or engage the enemy from within the Ratel using the quartet of firing ports located on both sides of the vehicle. The Ratel's speed and mobility came at the cost of armor protection. The front of the vehicle is protected by 20 millimeters of armor, while the sides and rear vary between 8 to 10 millimeters. This is enough to stop 7.62 armor-piercing rounds, or 12.7 millimeter AP rounds from the front. During combat operations, the Ratel proved vulnerable to Soviet 20 and 23 millimeter anti-aircraft guns, which were often employed in ground defense roles. Although the Ratel does not have a V-shaped hull, it is still rather well protected against mines. The wheels provide increased ground clearance and are designed to blow off, deflecting some of the explosive energy. The wheel arches themselves are also V-shaped, further enhancing protection. During the South African Border War, only a single Ratel was recorded as a mine fatality when it drove over a double anti-tank mine. Firepower is provided by a turret-mounted 20mm autocannon, backed up by a trio of machine guns. The autocannon is a GI-2 model, a licensed variant of the French Model F2 produced by Littleton Engineering Works, later known as Denel Land Systems. The machine guns are modified Browning M19 1930 cals, chambered for 7.62 rounds. One is mounted coaxially to the autocannon. Another is mounted on the commander's cupola, and the third is located at the rear of the vehicle. The rear machine gun was intended to be used in an air defense role, but also proved very effective against ground targets to the rear of the vehicle. While the Ratel 20 is the primary version of the vehicle, it has spawned a number of variants designed to fulfill other roles on the battlefield. This includes the Ratel 90, armed with a GT2 90mm cannon designed for fire support missions, although it was also used to good effect against Angolan T-55s and T-62s during the border war. The Ratel 60, armed with a turret-mounted M2 60mm mortar for indirect fire support, and the Ratel 81, another mortar carrier carrying the armament on a turntable in the passenger compartment. Additional variants also include a command variant, replacing the main armament with an M2 Browning, allowing more room for command equipment such as additional communications and map tables, and a prototype mortar carrier carrying a heavier 120mm piece, which, despite successful prototyping, never entered service. Perhaps the most distinctive variant is the Ratel ZT-3. This is an anti-tank missile carrier variant and replaces the turret weapon system with a box launcher carrying 3 ZT-3 anti-tank missiles. These have a range of 5,000 meters and a tandem warhead. A further 12 missiles are carried within the vehicle as reloads. While still in pre-production, 4 prototypes were assigned to 3-2 Battalion during Operation Modular in 1987. One of these vehicles destroyed 3 Angolan tanks in 10 minutes at a range of 2,000 meters. The Ratel was quickly thrust into action during South Africa's military intervention in the Angolan Civil War. Since 1966, the SADF had been fighting the Southwest Africa People's Organization in what is today Namibia. Fighting an asymmetric conflict, SWAPO units would assemble in Angola before crossing the border into Southwest Africa. Before 1975, the SADF worked with the Portuguese armed forces in patrolling the border and finding and dispersing SWAPO camps. But the collapse of the Portuguese Empire and the declaration that Angola would become independent ended such collaboration. South Africa faced a worrying prospect. At best, a politically unstable Angola would be unable to disrupt or stop SWAPO operations. At worst, a sympathetic Angola could even provide aid and support to them. As Angola descended into civil war between East and West-backed factions, South Africa launched Operation Savannah, a military incursion into Angola with the aim of supporting the National Union for the Total Independence of Angola, UNITA, in the south of the country. The war escalated from there, with other nations, most notably Cuba, sending combat troops into Angola to assist their factions. Rattels proved instrumental during the war, with fast-moving battle groups composed of Rattels and other South African vehicles, such as Eland armored cars, Buffel AFVs, and on rare occasions, Oliphant main battle tanks, quickly crossing the border to find and destroy SWAPO bases in Angola, as well as supporting UNITA forces whenever their positions were threatened, before again crossing the border back into Southwest Africa. Direct participation of foreign troops in the Civil War ended in December 1988 with the Tripartite Accord, although the conflict would continue until 2002 and an insurgency persists in the enclave of Cabinda Province. The accord also laid the groundwork for the independence of former Southwest Africa, now Namibia, with elections in November of 1989 and independence in March of 1990. In combat, the Rattel's combination of firepower and maneuverability proved an excellent mix, and at the time of introduction was perhaps one of the finest infantry fighting vehicles in service. Major General Roland de Vries, who commanded 6-1 Mechanized Battalion Group during the Border War and was a major contributor to the development of the Rattel, summarized the Rattel as remarkable. If we didn't have the Rattel in Angola during the 80s, we would not now have peace in our land. The Rattel was much more than a weapon. The combination of firepower, mobility, armor protection, and flexibility in its application allowed the vehicle itself to be an integrated combat system. Over 1,400 Rattels have been produced, and while the vehicle remains in service with the South African National Defense Force, it has also seen exports to a number of African and Middle Eastern nations, including Jordan, Libya, and Yemen, to name a few. With the Rattel nearing 50 years of service, South Africa planned to replace the venerable vehicle with licensed models of the finished Patria armored modular vehicle, dubbed Badger. 264 vehicles in 5 variants: IFV, anti-tank missile carrier, mortar carrier, fire support, and command vehicle were planned to be produced between 2007 and 2012. However, financial and production issues have meant that now, 15 years after initial deliveries should have been made, no vehicles have actually been delivered, and uncertainty still surrounds the contract. With talk of downsizing the order to 60 or 80 vehicles, or potentially canceling the contract entirely, it appears that the Rattel will be in service without replacement for the foreseeable future. This concludes our short look at the Rattel. If you aren't already, consider becoming a subscriber so you don't miss a single video. If you want to contribute more directly, consider donating on Patreon or PayPal. The money comes back to you in the form of bigger and better videos. Until next time, keep us in your sights.